Hello everybody, I'm Cantonese Cat. Hey everybody, Cantonese Cat here. I'm back. Sorry about the hiccup earlier. I think I got a bit of a technical difficulty, which I think has been resolved. I wasn't trying to run away from Vivian or anything like that, but yeah, here we go. We are 1 year into my YouTube career, whatever that is. I still don't know what this whole thing is all about, but I'm going to keep doing it as long as it's fun to do. And I just want to thank you all for being here. It's quite incredible. I think a year ago I started making a video talking about Bitcoin, talking about technical analysis on Bitcoin. Really wasn't sure anybody was going to listen to my half an hour, rant about technical analysis. Also found I'm probably a little bit more long-winded than a lot of people when it comes to talking about technical analysis. I don't know who listens to this kind of stuff for like an hour. And I figured out that apparently a lot of y'all are just like middle-aged man that are deprived of attention and soft kitty voice and just want to hear a smooth voice to go to sleep. I think that's really what all this is all about. Yeah, we can talk about BB. We can certainly do that. I also have a few chart requests here that I would like to fulfill as well. But as always, I'm just going to welcome y'all. And I'm going to talk briefly about the macro landscape. I'm going to spend more than 10, 15 minutes talking about like the index and yields and oil and all that crap. I'm going to talk about everything. Thank you, Vintage. The honor is all mine. So without further delay, I'm just going right into the S&P 500. That's going to be an index that I mostly look at. Most market participants look at this, and I'm going to do a little bit of a, how do you call that, like a pawn shop voice. Time to just speed through all this real quick, or is it like a auction voice? I don't know. Anyway, this S&P 500, what you're seeing here is a daily chart. You see this scan over here. It gives you pretty decent market symmetry, where each of these arcing angle here tend to mean something. We have broke through this arc over here, we push through, and we backtest this arc here twice. Do we have to backtest it third time? Not necessarily. I think we've just been kind of cooling down this very unhealthy move over here by closing two gaps. Right, there are two gaps over here that become filled. Usually, the third gap is kind of left alone. I don't think this gap has to necessarily get filled, and I think that currently it's building some energy up. It's hard for me to say. I mean, they always do a rock pull and just come back down over down here to the arc here around the 588 zone, somewhere around there. But the fact that we've just been holding a very important psychological level of 600 here for SPY, I think means something. And I also just think that I just cannot be that bearish on the market, even though it does look like we got a very, very big resistance zone here around 400, around 600 or so. It's still got a little bit of an ascending triangle look to it. If you look at Ichimoku, are we overextended? Yes, we are. Sometimes we're overextended. Sometimes you have big giant wick down here below, like we did in August, before further bullish continuation. But sometimes you can just keep going without touching it. This is a pretty unhealthy bull market. But even here, during this very healthy bull market, you have a touch over here on the Tenkan, right? And next thing you know, you just kind of keep going up for about a year and a half without touching it. So touching the Tenkan, I don't know how long it's going to go for, right? Over here, pretty healthy bull market. You don't really have like a true touch over here for about 2 years. So am I worried about being overextended? No, not really. I gotta be honest with you, I'm not really worried about that. But again, I'm not really worried about a lot of things. Maybe I should start get a little bit more worried about them as well. After the members' request, could you have a chance to draw a Gann square with 225 and 4? I'm going to tell you why I don't want to do that, but I can certainly try my best to do that here in a little bit. I just want to kind of go through all this here. If you do an RSI trend line here, I don't know why. I probably just being cute and trying to make it all dotty. There you go. It's a pretty thick line. I'm going to do a little bit shorter. If you do an RSI trend line, you clearly see that you have an RSI negative trend line there that has gotten broken out and back tested, right? And a very interesting thing that has also happened here too was, if I do the M2 Global Liquidity Index, a very, very similar phenomenon has also kind of happened here, which is we have broken above the resistant trend line and back tested it. So beautiful. Maybe I'll post this on X later. I don't know. I mean, it looks pretty decent. I just wonder we're not going to have having some bullish continuation here, because we back tested this twice over here, and we back tested it once over here. I just wonder whether or not we're just going to going up from here after we're done consolidating. There is always a risk, right? There is always a risk where we can come back and back test the blue line here. There's always a risk, and it can happen anytime. Am I going to get scared about the market because of that? Nah. QQQ, the NASDAQ, very similar situation, actually. Well, actually, before I go to the NASDAQ here, I do want to do a little something here. Thank you for the sticker, Tor. I appreciate that. It's been a year, Jules. Yes, it has. Maybe and welcome. It's been some crazy things that's been happening to the cat world. I never thought that it would be a year, but it has been a year, which is just absolutely insane. So if I just pull off the FIB level over here, there are a few things I'm seeing. First of all, you're getting over the 1.618, which is an important FIB level. We got rejected here and just pushed through, back tested. So logically speaking, once we get over whatever this resistance zone over here is, we should go higher, right? And the QQQ, also have a Gantt chart over here, QQQ on the daily. You can just look at it real quick. It gives some pretty decent market symmetry here too. Basically, just kind of broke through the arc here, but hovering around this arc here, broke through back test arc here. Now we're just trying to reclaim this horizontal zone over here. I think once we're done doing that, maybe we have a little bit of rough pool come back down here to the arc. Maybe not. Maybe we hold this horizontal level over here and just go up to the arc right above, right? Which would be challenging this pre-zone over here, somewhere around here. So as far as I'm concerned, nothing to really get that worry about. If you look at the Ichimoku, same thing, a little bit away from the Tenkan, but things can be overextended away from Tenkan for a very long time during bull market. I'm not really get that scared about it. If I have to absolutely look at the FIB levels over here, you can also see that it's kind of getting over 1.4 and 4 here. Try and challenge the 1.618. Still have a little bit more room to go. So not too worried about it. One thing I do want to talk about is QQQ SPY, which basically, if you're looking at, I'm going to put up the bull in Japan here. Basically, if you look at this over here, it's been building a big giant base over here. This chart over here is basically telling you QQQ in relation to SPY. If this number is high, that means QQQ is outperforming SPY. If the number is low, it means SPY is outperforming QQQ. You can see in general bear market, the QQQ can drop pretty drastically compared to SPY. That's exactly what happened during the entire 2022, right? When NASDAQ dropped like 40% and the S&P 500 may drop like 25% or something like that. Significantly underperformance. Next thing you know, you got significant outperformance. Right now, you're back in the resistance zone. What do you see here? It's like a big giant inverted head and shoulder, right? And it looks like QQQ wants to continue to outperform. You know why? Because this ratio over here is above the rising 20. It back tested the rising 20 hold, and the squeezing is squeezing. It means that big move's probably going to come. So I wonder if QQQ is going to like just kind of outperforming SPY here in a little bit. So far, it's pointing to the direction. Unless if it breaks down, then it might be a different story. But yeah, I mean, I can't really be that bearish about the market if QQQ is actually looking like it's holding against SPY pretty good. During the entire bull market, QQQ has been outperforming SPY, with the exception of the dot-com bubble, right? I mean, that's really it. Even during the great financial crisis, QQQ actually held pretty well. And there's a little bit of anomaly here around 2022 because 2019, 2020 with it outperforming significantly, right? But overall, QQQ over the last 2.5 decades has just been outperforming. And whenever that happens, generally you have a bullish continuation of the bull market anyway. So just want to point that out. I think I'm not really, even for today, the QQQ is holding pretty well. Are you worried about IWM? It's so frustrating. It's so frustrating. Where are we trying to bring about the 0.786 and just moon from here? Next thing you got like CPI, PPI, STI. It's just been kind of holding everything down. It's just been holding everything down. So are we scared? Are we looking at the IWM? Are we thinking that it's just never going to outperform. It's just going to get stuck here. Well, we're going to take a look a little bit about the IWM here, which I'm going to also, instead of doing IWM, I'm going to look at the Russell. I'm going to look at SPX, or Russell over SPX. I would get to y'all's chart requests, don't worry. Truebit and IREN. I'm going to talk about miners up the wazoo. Don't worry about that. If you're looking at the monthly chart, and get rid of Bollinger Band here, of the Russell 2000, which is the small cap, over SPX, which is the large caps, right? S&P 500. So you can see that a lot of people think that, oh, you know, Russell just sucks, small caps. They don't do anything. They're a bunch of debt-ridden companies. They're just going to keep going bleeding against S&P 500 large caps. And that's always been the case. Not really. It only really started in like 2013 or so, right? I keep showing the same chart over and over again, and it's good to kind of revisit that. If you just look at the monthly chart, you can see a very, very interesting thing here. During the dot-com bubble, large caps have obviously outperformed small caps, right? Until it popped, that's when small caps actually was able to outperform, right? A lot of people getting into banks and financials and whatnot until the great financial crisis happened. And with the great financial crisis happening, both large caps and small caps both take a hit. So the Russell 2000 over SPX did nothing, right? But during the entire time, the small cap has outperformance over large cap has really gotten way far extended and exhausted. You can see how it kind of outperformed over here a little bit, but the RSI has just been completely exhausted the entire time, right? So what are we seeing over here? Well, everybody just takes it as a fact that large caps going to end up outperforming small caps. And that's just going to be a fact, right? There's not going to be any dispute, nothing, right? That's just the way it is, right? I mean, just like what Tupac used to say. So basically, if you look at the RSI, though, it looks like we got a very, very similar bullish divergence that's been building here for months, like we did have a bearish divergence over here. Not for months, for years, right? And we're getting towards the end of it. I wonder whether or not we're going to have some pretty sick moves happening with small caps. Pretty sick move could potentially happen in small caps where it can end up doing a little bit of a sine wave. And maybe we're going to end up having some small cap outperformance here for the upcoming years. Who knows? I just think that whenever somebody takes something as a fact, usually that's when the trend ends up diverging from your expectations. So if you just look at WM by itself, yeah, it's extremely frustrating while it's forming higher highs and higher lows the entire time since October 2023. It's extremely frustrating because whenever it feels like you're making like 3 steps forward, you always take 2 steps back. 3 steps forward, 2 steps back, 4 steps forward, 2 steps back, right? That's what it feels like. But it's still within the golden pocket. It's still between the 0.61 and 0.76, right? So once you're in the golden pocket, and it looks like it really wants to break out, right? Once you're in the golden pocket, it looks like you're about to break out. If it breaks out, the move can be extremely powerful. And on top of all of that, it's not overextended at all. Like this is like a very, very safe spot to buy right here. If I just get rid of the FIB levels, it's like very, very safe spot to buy right here because it's right next to the Tengen. Tengen is rising, it's expanding already from the kitchen. It's a very, very nice bull trend being built up here. A lot of people just get really extremely scared and bitter because what happened in November got erased in December. But overall, price is still going up. This is still a very, very nice bull trend, right? Bollinger Band tells you the same. It's a very nice bull trend, you know. So I'm still pretty bullish in small cap. One thing that has really outperformed everything else, including small caps, including S&P 500, is ARK Fund, ARKK. I cannot stress enough how bullish ARKK is because it reclaimed the 0.382 like with flying colors, and it looks like it just wants to challenge the 0.5, which is the Ichimoku over here, $68.56. Until then, I think it's got enough room to go up a lot higher. This is a very different look. Let me just turn off the indicator over here. Turn off the FIB level, turn off everything else. This is a very different look compared to what the SP 500 has been doing, right? Looks like there's a rotation, doesn't it? Looks like there's a rotation from these large cap stocks to these degen stocks, right? Look at QQQ. Look at there's a little bit of divergence over here compared to what ARK Fund is doing, right? Huh, interesting. Why is nobody talking about this? Why my videos on ARK Fund have like 200, 300 views and nobody really gives a crap? It makes me wonder about whether or not this thing is going to keep outperforming. which I think it is, like a bullish band expansion, very, very beautiful. And I went through a video to talk about like the underlying stocks, which include Coinbase, by the way, which we're going to talk a little bit about here in a second. You learn about the large caps, underperformance and rotation. Look no further than the SMH ETF, which is the semiconductor market weighted ETF. It's done absolutely nothing for about 9 or 10 months. Absolutely nothing. Stuck in a range, stuck in my arc over here, stuck underneath the 21272. After it got rejected at 0.618, just stuck in eternity. Do I think it's going to push out and make another leg higher? I do. It's not time yet. I don't know when it's going to be. Maybe there's going to be a little bit of rug pull too, but I don't think it has to back to the 0.618. They've already done that, so I don't think it has to do that again. But overall, I just cannot really get that get that bearish if all of these things are just basically a rotation, right? And guess what things might rotate to soon after that? Maybe RWM, right? Maybe RWM. I don't know. If you are looking at everybody's like freaking out, not freaking out, but everybody's like looking at the yield. You have 2-year yield, your 10-year yield. A lot of people focus more on the 10-year yield because that has a lot more to do with what most people look at anyway. 2 years also important. Actually, matter of fact, if you look at the yield curve, if the 2 years less than 10 year actually is quite healthy. It looks like it's becoming healthy and healthier because I think 2 years is becoming weaker and weaker, right? 2 year broke underneath the bearish crosshair of the Tenkan Kijun, back tested Kijun like 4 months in a row, not really passing through. This looks extremely weak and exhausted. It probably wants to plummet down to like 3.4% or something like that, right? 10 years stronger. 10 years stronger, but I still think it's weak. The reason why I think that's weak is, let's see. Yeah, the reason why I think this is weaker is because you don't have the expansion of the Tenkan and Kijun anymore. They got contracted. This is a signal that things might change into a trend, but it did end up bouncing and back tested Tenkan and Kijun here, so I can argue with that. With that said, the entire time while this is happening, it's on bearish divergence. Like this whole thing right here is on bearish divergence. So whatever it is, the trend's getting exhausted. You have like a inverted hammer here followed by like a hammer here. Like I don't know. It's just, it looks weaker to me. I can't just go by one candle and say, oh, that's a hammer top. No, I can't do that. But it's just look a little bit weaker to me. So don't be surprised if the next one's going to go down, especially since Jerome Powell just stop rate cuts, right? You imagine if they stop rate cuts, it's going to mean that 10 years is going to keep shooting up to the sky because people are expecting yields just keep going up higher. But the reality is this: the Fed started cutting in September 2024 when the 10-year bottomed. Since the Jerome Powell cut rates, yields have gone up. So I don't know like whether or not I would follow the narratives of what the Fed is doing. Let me look at me, Kevin. His PP ETF just got liquidated. Apparently he no longer has PP, which is unfortunate. But he follows what Jerome Powell says all the time. Like, why would he not be successful at what he's doing if he does that? Because the market doesn't give a crap. Anyway, I think it's good to look at what the true market condition is. I think the 2-year and 10-year is really telling you a lot. On top of all that, you also have the 2-year, not 2-year, the M2 money supply from the U.S. government. This is a little bit of a lagging data because they only have these data from December. I don't know what January and February have looked like so far. Probably higher, right? But it looks like the parabolic money printing has started again, even they technically stopped quantitative tightening, whatever. But in reality, it doesn't really matter what they call it. As a matter of fact, I don't think the quantitative tightening stopped in like October 2023 because that's what the money supply is telling me. Matter of fact, that was a very important bottom of the QQQ. That was a very important bottom of the S&P 500. That was the bottom of the IWM index, right? ARK Fund has a very important bottom there. 2-year had peaked around October 2023. 10-year had peaked around October 2023. So that was the peak. And China is still printing money, right? Japan, well, they haven't really been printing that much money. I think that's why we've been kind of going sideways and consolidating over here for a little bit. because they've just been kind of not really printing a whole lot of money. I guess the Japanese currency is just not that strong. Maybe they are not printing as much, but I think they'll print again. You worry about inflation. You really worry about inflation. Look at oil. How weak is oil? Very weak. Bouncy, 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 bouncy to the floor. That's what it looks like to me. If you worry about oil surging, that's not what the chart is telling us. The chart is telling us that you got a dead Cantonese bounce after dead Cantonese bounce after dead Cantonese bounce. It looks like it wants to go down, right? Okay, fine. GSG is a lot stronger. Look at the ascending triangle over here, right? It's scary. GSG is like a commodity index. But guess what? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I mean, the stock market can keep going up, you know, and it can also keep, like, actual matter of fact, like whenever you have plummet over here from 2014, 2016, it was bad for the market. Whenever you have plummet over here in 2008, 2009, it was bad for the market, right? Same thing over here, it was bad for the market. Is it okay to have a little bit of a steady stability rise to GSG? I think it's fine. I think it's totally fine. A lot of people worry about the VIX. Why you worry about the VIX? It just hit the upper Bollinger Band here on the monthly, and it just got plummeted down, right? And on top of that, a few months ago, you already, like, by December, you already touched the upper Bollinger Band. Can bad things happen with news-driven event and it just touched up a Bollinger Band here? Not Bollinger Band, touch the bottom of Ichimoku cloud over here. Yeah, it's a pretty thick cloud though, so I don't think it's necessarily going to have to push through. Anyway, a lot of people say you can't really analyze the VIX, technically speaking, so I'm going to stop doing it because you can't do that apparently. Copper is looking healthy. Very similar look, right? Inverted head and shoulder. Inverted head and shoulder. Very, very beautiful look to copper. So, and this is generally like a good index of how healthy the economy is. I cannot really be that bearish on the overall economy. Now, with that said, let's take a look at a few tickers here, because I want to always kind of set the tone of how things are going to be before I talk about each of the individual stocks here. I think that a lot of y'all will be surprised by 2025, and that's just my speculation on my part, but I think a lot of you might be surprised by 2025 in terms of what the market is doing. What do I think is going to happen in 2025? Well, I'm positioned that way. How am I positioned? Well, you would find out if you read my periodic posts, and if you are a member, I talk about my portfolio all the time. But let's talk about some individual stocks over here. I got the very first request is going to be Coin, because it's got earnings tomorrow. I've talked Coin to the wazoo already. I honestly have talked Coin nonstop, and I think Coin is Palantiring, and I really do think that Coin is Palantiring. It's got earnings coming up. Could it end up just plummeting down? You know, whatever, wick down, whatever, it gets scary, whatever. Possible, but I just think that we're very similar spot over here as we are over here. I just think that this stepwise approach to go up after the bullish cross over here at the Tengen Kijun, backtesting both, push through, backtesting Tengen, very similar morphology over here. Same thing also happened with HIMS, right? Very, very same exact morphology, actually, although it did end up undershooting here a little bit, which probably got everybody a lot more scared. But hey, when things undershoot like that, you end up overshooting even harder. That's what they mean by, you know, reaction and you know, Einstein, whatever. Yeah, I'm not a, well, actually I'm a scientist, but I'm not going to pretend I'm a scientist here. But yeah, stepwise approach, backtest Tengen Kijun, push back up, and then just kind of take a stepwise approach. And after things get going, it just gets pretty parabolic here, doesn't it? Right? So I think that's where Coin is. And if Coinbase is looking like that, I think that the entire cryptocurrency market is also looking like that, because that's also kind of how the total 3 is looking, right? Basically, you have a bull flag or a handle here, or this big giant cup, whatever you call it, break through, backtesting this cup and handle breakout, right? Backtesting the Tengen Kijun over here. Beautiful formation. Trying to push through this all-time high, not able to push through. Beautiful formation. Now, the rest of the cryptocurrency market, like the others, when you take away the top 10, is underperforming. Backtest the bottom of the cloud over here is underperforming here. But even then, it still looks pretty healthy. This still looks more or less like HIMS, right? Even if it comes back and kind of backtests the red line over here, like it's still more or less looking like HIMS. So I'm not that bearish. I'm just not that bearish. I don't know, like, if I should be. I just don't see any particular reason that I should be. And I think at this point in the cycle, I think things are going to look pretty decent, because I do think that I did a video with the charting guy, and I just think that logically speaking, you have to follow global liquidity, right? You have to follow global liquidity, and global liquidity has a breakout and backtest. And if you have total 3 that looks like it has a breakout and backtest, where are things going to go? Well, what's happened last time, breakout and backtest, right? Your horizontal resistance zone over here for global liquidity, you broke out and you have a little bit of a backtest here. It didn't really quite do that. It's a little bit like half-hearted backtest here. That was COVID. And yeah, the next thing you know, global liquidity just shot up. That's what it looks like maybe it wants to do. I don't know. Let's look a little bit more like microscopically and see what it's trying to do. I don't know. I don't know what it's trying to do. I don't know. I mean, it just looks like a cup over here. But if it truly is one of those situations where it broke out and back testing it, then it could go a lot higher, because that's what happened every single time, right? You have the same kind of morphology, a little bit of a W over here, like you have a little bit of a W over here. So who knows? Maybe we're getting ready for a pretty big pump. I don't know. Maybe we're getting ready for a pretty big plummet. I don't know. If you're asking about how high I think Coinbase is going to go, I don't know. Okay. I'm going to go back to coin here. I'm going to show you my GAN. And generally, I have a tutorial in terms of how I draw GAN charts using log scale, right? If you want to learn how to do it on a linear scale, great math speeds for you. I generally don't really like to look at things on linear that much. Sometimes I do, most of the time I don't, because I just have a hard time finding trend and trying to look for exhaustion, things like that with linear. Look at log. I generally do set up this with the duration down here. I have a set numbers. I have 45, 90, 180, 360, 720, 1,440, and 2,880. That's what I usually use for the duration. I don't use any other numbers for that. You can, but I don't. I think as long as it's multiple 45 is fine. But I think that's the best scan squares are coming from those numbers. It's multiples of 45s, but it's 45 times 2 to the n. That's generally what I like to use. The ratio, if you click on a ratio over here, I generally like to use 1, 2, or 5, or the derivatives thereof, like plus or times 10, or divide by 10 times 100 divided by 100. So I still use like 0 0.1, 0 0.2, 0 0.5. I use 10, 20, 50, but I generally don't use 4. If that kind of like helps set you up. Now, with that said, I can change it to 225 here real quick and see what I see here. And you want to change that to 4, I can go ahead and do that. Yeah, it gives you some market symmetry here. It's pretty nice, right? But it's just not my standard numbers to use. If you're looking at that, then yeah, it's at the bottom of the arc here. Then it's stuck here in the arc for a very long time. I suppose you can do that. It would be multiple of 45, and it would be okay to do, but that's generally not the numbers that I use. So anyway, woo. Okay, so got that question out of the way. Let's move on to a couple other requests here. I'm going to do IREN later on. I'm going to do that because I want to talk about miners all together. If you want to talk about this true thing over here, TRU USD, I'm assuming. If it's not TrueFi, Truebit. If I just type Truebit. Okay, Truebit USD. There you go. Charting this thing over here has been around for a few years. There's enough market symmetry for me to chart. First, I'm going to go to the monthly here. If you look at the monthly, the first thing I want to do is always put a bull in Japan. It looks like it's been just hovering around the 20-minute moving average up and down. It's just been kind of going sideways here a little bit. But if you are to look at, let me see, I want to look at the Ichimoku here. Yeah, I was trying to challenge the Tengen here, but it's just not really been able to. But overall, I like that you have the tweezer bottom over here. I like that you have a bullish engulfing candle with 3 red candles here that's not able to really push through underneath this green candle. I think this could end up being like a W. I think you might end up having a little bit of resistance here, maybe a little bit of bull flag here, or a handle here before going up. That's what I think. By just looking at candle formation, yeah, I just that's my biggest suspicion in terms of what's going to happen. Look at the little bit lower time frame here. If you do Ichimoku is still underneath all resistance here. We look at the support band, still underneath the bar support band, but it's just kind of oscillating. But if you're looking at the monthly structure, I like this structure here. I think it's going to push through and go higher, especially since I'm just bullish overall in crypto. I think that has a high probability of succeeding. If you're looking at in terms of like how high I can go, I suppose I can draw a log fib here. It's been respecting these fit levels here very well, right? Got rejected here at the 0.86, got rejected here at 0.786, got support here at 0.382 here with a very nice, fork tweezer thing over here. So yeah, we'll see. Maybe the month close about 0.5. That'd be nice. Either way, as an inside candle, that maybe we're set of a rising free over here and just push through 0.618 over here and get back to some of the higher levels, form a W, and then maybe have a hard time, kind of get stuck around here for a little bit and then push through. That's kind of what I'm suspecting would happen with this one. Next up is, you got Frog Dog. You want to talk about QMCO. Is this a quantum stock? It says Quantum Corporation. I don't know. Anyway, it got rejected here at 0.76. It's just been kind of hovering in space over here. Is it hanging around 0.5? Maybe it is. Maybe it is. It's hanging around 0.5 over here. So broke through, back test 0.5, broke through how many like multiple fit levels here, back testing some fit levels. Normal. Back test a horizontal zone over here, back testing a horizontal zone over here. Completely understandable. Are you having a bullish trend over here? Yes, you are. I think this is wave 1. And this is wave 2. That it's going to be somewhere over here. I don't know if it's going to hold 0.5. I don't know if it has to go down a little bit further, 0.32 and 20-month moving average. I don't know. Looks like this could be a good zone to be at right now, because I think this is wave 1 and it's trying to find its wave 2. That's pretty decent. Love it. Thank you so much for y'all's congratulations, by the way. I really do appreciate y'all support. I don't know what you guys are supporting, but I appreciate y'all support. QS earnings, I don't even know what to think. I mean, I'm just buying very, very slowly. I think this big giant thing here is a big giant round at bottom. I think the weekly here has a Bollinger Bands going on for too long. I think you're going to have a pop every single time it does that. It ends up having a pop. I don't think this is deep pop. I think you're probably going to having a pop at some point. If you're also looking at the 20, 50, and 100 in terms of moving averages, yeah, let's just do coming closing together. I'm just waiting for that one candle to kind of pop before figure out what it wants to do next. But it could, I don't know. Even if it pops, it could get faded, right? So it could still be dead money here for a while. But I just like the fact that they're getting closer and closer together. And I think all of these 20, 50, and 100 week moving averages have been challenging up to while. So the moving averages are probably tired as being resistance at some point. So yeah, I'm still going to end up allocating to that. I think it's getting close, maybe sometime around Q2, Q3 would be the breakout. If I'd be pleasantly surprised if it does in Q1, but I'm not entirely expecting it. You do have a candle over here that's a little bit outside so far of this green candle. Initially at like 6 inside candles, and some of these have like big volume. It actually tells you that maybe a reversal is coming pretty soon. So far for the month of February is kind of a little bit of a low volume candle here. So far it's only been about 2 weeks, right? And so it's underneath this green candle over here. So we'll see whether or not we end up having another inside candle. It'd be early in the month we did. Right now, probably just kind of plummeting down here a little bit further. But yeah, we'll see. If anything, I do think that this is a telltale sign. I think we're really truly bottoming here, and I think we're gonna do okay. That's kind of the gist of the story here. Looking at the the on-balance volume is not really telling me too much. It's not really telling me too much. What about RSI? Is RSI here telling me a lot? Yeah, I mean, it's been building more or less a bullish divergence here for a very long time. This is a bottoming process. Whenever it's done, it's been bottoming for how long now? Like 2 years. Yeah, I'm fine waiting for a little longer. It doesn't really matter. All right. A couple other things that other people have requested. So I'm going to go through here real quick. I did already touch into hymns here, and the and also talk about yeah. You talk about hymns. The question is, how high can hymns go? What would be a good area to let go of hymns and have a happy ending? The answer to that is we don't know, because the Bollinger Band continues to expand to the downside. This is a very, very impulsive bull trend. There is no sign of hymns getting tired after 4 hours. So the question would be, could this be a resistance zone where we're at right now? It could be. At any of these areas, you can end up having these crazy 20, 30, 40% drop on the way up. Although I think that the trend's becoming more parabolic now. I think it's Palantiring. I think it's probably going to end up breaking through all these resistance levels here. Unless we get to the point where we're just way outside the upper Bollinger Band, that's when I really be a lot more worried. But right now, the trends are friendly. There's no reason to sell hymns. It's just, you just let it go, let it cool down, and do whatever it wants to do, because it wants to erect. It wants to keep going up higher. The if you're asking for a Gann chart, I can do it on a weekly here. I haven't done one here for a very long time. But you're asking for a Gann chart. I can do a log scale Gann from here. I think 360 would be a good duration. 360, there we go. And then 1 is generally a number I would start out with. Pretty decent market symmetry, right? Just putting on those numbers. Pretty decent market symmetry, and I wouldn't really deviate that from that far. This 45-degree angle here means a lot, right? We finally broke through the 45-degree angle, pushed through the arc here. Looks like we want to go up higher. We are looking at a resistance zone maybe somewhere around $51, and then the arc up here, wherever it's going to hit, probably around like 70 or 80. So I think that's good. Like the again, horizontal here may be important resistance zone. I don't know. It didn't really seem to be over here. It was over here. Who knows how strong a resistance zone that's going to be, right? All I know is got momentum to push through it, back testing it, or even push up to the arc over here and back testing it. But if you end up looking for like the next resistance based on Gann's like 51, right? The next one's going to be anywhere around like the 70s, depending on where it hits the arc, or the 80s, depends on where it hits the arc, right? And I think that would end up having a pretty significant cool down. You ask me when I can get to 100. Yeah, I can get up to 100. And get up to 130s. I mean, like that's going to be the next level after that. The market could end there, or it could keep going to the next arc up above 200. It's possible. Just because people say it's not possible, it doesn't mean it's not possible. 1.618 is $100. That's going to be a pretty decent area to take profits at. But I think that once you get to 100, you could go higher too, right? Usually these bull cycle, if it's extremely parabolic, it can end at 1.618, or it can end at like 2.272 or something like that. I just don't know where HIMS is going to go. I don't know how far it's going to go. That I really don't know. It really depends on what the trend looks like. So I'm just going to leave it be. Look at the Bollinger Band on the monthly here again. It's still very, very parabolic. There's not really any bearish diversions that I'm really concerned about here on the monthly. I mean, the monthly RSI is like low 70s, blah. Like it can be a lot higher for longer. So anyway, that's him. He's going to talk about CRM. CRM is, I think, having earnings soon, and CRM did have a little bit of a trident top over here, so that's not fun, right? CRM did end up having a little bit of exhaustion of bull trend over here, so that's not fun, right? So probably going to end up kind of going sideways here, or even down here a little bit. I think if you're having a little bit of a rotation for large caps to small caps, maybe CRM is going to show a little bit more weakness here. So we shall see what CRM is going to do. But technically speaking, it's still bull trend, higher highs, higher lows. Just looks a little bit tired. It might need to come back for a higher low. Who knows how low it's going to get? Maybe it's going to get down to the 20-month moving average here again, like it did before, right? Around 270s, 280s, possible. You look at Ichimoku, you can also see maybe it goes back down to 300, back to the Tenkan over here. It seems to be a little bit overextended, right? Last time it got overextended, back test the cloud. This time overextended. Maybe it just goes to the Tenkan. I don't know, right? But overall, higher high, higher low. I'm not really that worried about this stock. It's just I'm talking about long term. It's just short term. You have some, it could have some drops that feels pretty bad, if you will. But not everything is supposed to feel good, so that's okay. Like I think overall it's still pretty healthy. If you look at if you look at the linear fit level here, it got rejected 1.272. It's just been trying to find a little bit of a higher low. Is it going to go all the way down to 290 around 0.86? Possible, or is it going to go a little bit lower to like the 0.786 where the 20-minute range is currently at right now, 272? I don't know. I'm looking at downside targets because you have all these wicks up above. You have a lot of resistance here. So I'm looking for more downside targets. Does it mean you should sell here and try to buy lower? I don't know. It's still a higher low. Looks a little tired. I wouldn't buy here though. I probably wouldn't buy here. That's my my 2 cents on CRM. BP. Looking at BP here. Yeah, it's bouncing through my resistance level. Congratulations, bulls. I mean, like, I think I worry. I don't like to buy resistance. I think that 0.382 is resistance. I think upper bullish right here is resistance. I don't like to buy resistance. Sometimes these things can wick all the way up here to like 0.0618, way above the upper Bollinger Band, which is what I was seeing with like BABA had a big wick, like, or TIGR had a big wick all the way close to like 0.618, and it just gets all the way plummeted back down, right? So I don't want to bet against the momentum, but I just don't like to buy resistance. If it ends up running away from me, it ends up running away from me. I'm completely okay with that. But if it ends up retracing, yeah, I would love to actually start a position if it ends up retracing, right? Looks like we got a little bit of a monthly bullish Tengen Kitchen cross happening too. So we'll see if it ends up retracing. If it does, nobody knows for sure. I think it probably will. Then I'll try to buy a little bit lower. Depends on where this hits, right? A lot of these support down underneath are going to be dynamic, so you're just not going to know for sure. Does it go all the way down to 0.382? I doubt it. If it does, would that be a good zone to buy? Heck yeah. Would it come back and retrace this like 4.5 level over here, like it previously here as resistance, and flip that in support? Yeah, that'll be reasonable. Would I start to scale around the area around like 4.4, 4.5? Heck yeah. But I just don't like buying resistance because I don't like the psychological harm that it can be associated with. But doesn't mean that it's not going to go higher from here, just like that. So, one of those things, if I were bought down here, I would just hold. Doesn't matter how low it goes, I don't care. But now that it's like resistance, I just can't justify myself going into it. RVPH. Reviva Pharmaceuticals Holdings. This thing over here is very tough to chart. Let's do a Bollinger Band here and see if you can identify any trend over here. Well, you got a breakout over here, but broke down, touched the low Bollinger Band here, back tested negative sloping 20, got rejected. Not a great look. What about higher time frame? 2 month, right? Trying to break through, not able to hold this because it's negative sloping, broke down. Trying to break through again, but back tested 20, got rejected, right? Not a good look. Not a good look. 3 month, not a good look. 2 week, maybe you got something there. Weekly, maybe you got something there. I think that this is going to be fine in a short term. It broke through the weekly Ichimoku. I think it's going to probably grab it up to the top of the cloud over here. But I would probably not hold this long term because you got a lot of resistance up above on the monthly. It's just unreal. You got like all these resistance up here on the monthly. It's just unreal. So that's kind of what I think about it. Looking at the next one, which is Frog. No idea what this is. JFrog. What do I think about this? This actually looked pretty decent. Looks like it's reclaiming the 20-month moving average from resistance here to support. Broke down underneath of it, was able to reclaim it. Amazing. Looking at the Ichimoku, broke through the cloud, bullish cross Tengen Kitchen, right? I feel like a sportscaster sometimes. It's like, broke through the cloud, Tengen Kitchen bullish cross here. Looks like there's a lot of momentum going. And it does have a lot of momentum going. It even broke through this like bear market trend or whatever you call it. So I think the next thing that it needs to get over is maybe like this trend line over here. After that, I really think that this thing might just make a home run. It did break above the 0.382. I think it's probably going to grabbing up to 0.382 over here, assuming that it's able to break above this trend line over here. So I think that's kind of what I'm seeing. But I cannot be bearish on this. Big giant cup handle. Looks like the handle's done. Looks like it wants to push through. So lovely chart. In terms of higher targets, I think probably the cycle leads 0.618, 0.786 maybe, somewhere up higher. And it won't go there in a straight line because you got all these resistance levels over here, but it's looking pretty decent here. How high do I think Mara can go? I'll talk about the miners here, don't worry. Talking about, can I add my request for the week for Tube or XNNE? I don't know. I don't count. I'm just trying not to work too hard, so I discourage people from like requesting more than one. People do it anyway, and when I get around to it, I try. But if not, I just do some. What do I have here? I think it's daily. That's what happened. Yeah, 360 and 5. Those are numbers that I'm using. If I take off the Ichimoku, yeah, still some pretty decent market symmetry here. I don't know how this happened. Just kind of riding up. I haven't looked at this for a very long time, by the way. I think last time I looked at it was like here, got rejected here at the angle. I don't know. That's just kind of going sideways, trying to support, push through the arc here, back test the arc over here. That's what it's doing right now. If you have to look at the weekly chart, it's still bullish. The only issue is, I think that RSI is showing maybe a little bit sign of being a little bit tired here, but it's a bull trend, higher highs, higher lows, very nice dragonfly bullish candle over here, beautiful. Like if you were to trade this, big giant dragonfly stabbing into the 20-week moving average, like you know what the next month, you know what the next week's gonna bring, right? 3 inside candles here so far, declining volume, probably bullish continuation. Trend maybe a little bit tired, but it's not done yet. This thing looks like it wants to keep going higher. If you do a little bit of a fit level from here to there, if I get rid of the can here just for demonstration 6, it's right at 0.86 here. The fact that it's right at 0.86 is actually a great thing because whenever you had a breakout, got rejected 1.472, 1.272, you have to come back and back test something, right? Back test 0.786 bounced, and also back test 0.86, right? So far, looking like it's holding it pretty well. So most likely bullish continuation, probably going to challenge at 1.272 again, waiting for bullish trend to expand. That's probably what it's doing. So pretty decent. If you're talking about a Rocket Lab. Let's see. Oh man, this thing looks so want to push through, but it's looking so tired now. Looking at the monthly, it was way outside the upper Bollinger Band. Now it's not. Now it's back inside. And because it's gone sideways here for about 3 months, the lower Bollinger Band starts to kind of curl a little bit here. But it's still a very, very nice bull trend. It's still very much of a parabolic bull trend. It's just got a little bit way too far overextended. It's just cooling off over here. Can it keep cooling off for another couple of months? Yes, it can. Does it mean that it's something bearish? No, it could just keep getting stuck between 1.4 and 4 and 1.236 over here for a while before going up, right? I cannot say that it's going to be a bearish formation because it looks bullish to me. The only thing, and then it's not bearish, the only thing I'm looking at this that I'm like a little bit concerned about is a little bit overextended here away from the Tenkan Kitchen. You have beautiful katana here, by the way. But you're just a little bit overextended here. Doesn't mean they have to come back closer, or doesn't mean you have to kind of correct size through time and allowing this to kind of push up to catch up. I don't know. Would I want to get into Rocket Lab right now? Probably not. I think it's still digesting this big giant move that it just had. Is this a bullish chart? Yes, it is. Does it mean that the next month is going to go up? No, actually, next month could mean that it could even go down. Right? I just showed you a lot of charts that got rejected at 1.272, 1.414. They come back down to like the 0.86, 0.6786, right? Where's the 0.686 right now? The 0.86 is right around the Tenkan kitchen, right? I mean, I don't know. Does it need a launching pad to launch higher, to rocket higher? Maybe. But if I was to have bought down here, I'm just gonna hold because it can also just kind of hang out here and correct through time and just make the next leg up, right? It reminds me very much of ASTS, where I really thought that was going to correct sideways here for months, and it did that. So look at ASTS. Maybe that's what's happening with Rocket Lab. It's just need to consolidate sideways and digest that big giant move. I think that's all. So, do I think NXL is ready to fly? It depends on what NXL. Oh yeah, I think it's getting ready. I think it's getting ready. When is it going to? I don't know. It just looks like a very nice launching pad over here. Back to 0.86, back to Tenkan Vision over here very nicely. Looks like a launching pad. I just don't know when it's going to launch. Nobody does. Nobody ever does. It's also not overextended about the upper Bollinger Band anymore, right? So that's promising. Those are just kind of crawling down here a little bit, but it's been consolidating sideways here for a while. So yeah, not a bad look. It could launch anytime. I just don't know when. Okay, but it looks very very nice. Some of the targets up here about $5 or $6, $9, $15, somewhere around there. That's what I think. How long have we gone on so far? Around 51 minutes. Addressed all of your chart requests so far. So that means I have time now to take a little bit of a break. I'm going to take maybe like a 3 to 5 minute break or something like that. And then I'm going to come back and then we're going to talk Bitcoin and proxies. And then maybe even take some more chart requests. And then we're going to end the show. Deal? Sounds pretty good for a 1-year anniversary, doesn't it? Let's do it. I'll be back. I'm back. Sonova Energy, Falling Knife. You're probably right. Wait, let me delete this crap over here. Is my audio okay? Everything okay here? Let me know if it's not. Sonova Energy, Falling Knife. Sonova Energy, Falling Knife. If you're gonna try to catch a falling knife, this is a falling knife worth catching. Look at the Bollinger Band. I would at least like to see, before I even want to catch this falling knife, at least like to see the lower Bollinger Band over here getting touched again. It had two capitulation events, 1 and 2. It's not bad. Like this is 1 here, this is number 2 here. You still got sellers, so I don't know. At least like to see it touch the lower Bollinger Band over here. I would at least like to see, or at least like to see this bullish divergence here that we're seeing here a little bit to kind of hold, right? You did have a little bit of bullish divergence over here, but unfortunately have another leg lower. I like to see this bullish divergence here holding. Yeah, but I wouldn't catch it where it's at right now. Looks pretty scary to me still. So could be a good one. I don't know. Could be a good one. What do we have here? Let's talk about Bitcoin. Let's talk about the miners. Things a couple of you asked about. Mara asked about IREN, all that good stuff, right? For Bitcoin, I have 3 weekly Gann charts here. This one has just been stuck in resistance here. It's been hovering underneath resistance here for a long time. This one's also, initially it was breaking through the arc here a little bit of deviation about the arc, right? And it just broke down the angle here. Maybe hopefully this is just a little bit of deviation. I don't know. Regardless, I think all this is telling me we're towards the end of something. Is really trying to push in through the arc over here. If you look at a monthly, which is what I think is all that really matters. I have this chart here. If you want to listen to me yapping about like Bitcoin global liquidity and all that stuff, I made a video with Charting Guy. I already kind of laid down my whole thesis here. I think that each time, whenever you have a global liquidity breakout like you did over here, you have a resistance here for horizontal, broke out, and that's when global liquidity goes up. Bitcoin went up a lot, right? Same thing here, horizontal resistance zone over here. When you break out and back test, it just ran a lot higher, right? Same thing over here, breakthrough. This cycle is a lot longer just because I think it took us a lot longer to break above this horizontal resistance over here. Broke out, back test, maybe you go a lot higher, right? Maybe it gets to the horizontal here, maybe for time you get up to the arc over here too, right? Because every single time whenever it breaks through one arc, it just gravitates up to the next arc. Where they break through one arc, back testing, it just gravitates up to the next arc, right? We broke through arc over here, back test it, so maybe we gravitate up to the next arc, right? Just logic, there's nothing fancy about it. Just logic. That's all it is. If you are looking at the Chinese market here, and I think the best thing to look at would be the Hang Seng index. Wait, so many choices here. Ugh, nasty. Okay. So I would like to see if I can reset here. I really just want to show one thing. I want to show, and this is probably not the best way to show it because it's really, really noisy. Turn off the Ichimoku here. Turn off the drawings here, and really line these up here. What the heck is this? Don't give me continuous contract switch. I don't care about that. If you're looking at year, and I have the individual years here, 2017, 2018, it's roughly line up, not exactly line up, but roughly line up. Yeah, it's close enough. What I'm trying to show here is that during the entire parabolic part of the bull trend here, like for example, during this parabolic bull trend here for Bitcoin, China market went on like crazy, right? During this parabolic bull trend here, I'm going to line up here. During this parabolic bull trend over here from July all the way to March or April, that's when China was doing extremely well, right? Well, what's going to happen? What's been happening right now? Look at the Chinese market, right? It's done pretty well since February. You go up all the way to right now. Bitcoin's for an all-time high over here. The Hang Seng's getting ready for something big here. Are we going to end up having Hang Seng kind of break up to the 2800s? And then Bitcoin's going to have like all, Hang Seng do like this, and Bitcoin just does just this, and that. Possible. I really think it's possible. Things are lining up in a very, very interesting way. That I just think that Bitcoin is probably going to do pretty well moving forward. If you really want to look at the Hang Seng Index, I can. I actually think that the Hang Seng is going to do pretty well here. I think Hang Seng is probably going to end up breaking to this negative trend line over here around 0.786. And that could happen really for the entire year 2025, where it's just going to have like boom, 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 boom. I think that's entirely possible. We can also see that it's really been rejected here at Ichimoku Cloud here for about 3 months straight, right? But finally back to the technical over here, holding very well. Looks like it wants to re-challenge the cloud over here. Looks like we're doing that. Looks like we're going to get to 0.5. Looks like we're going to get to the top of the cloud over here. Looks like we want to eventually exit out the cloud over here, back test and go up higher for the entire year of 2025. That's what it looks like it wants to do. And if you're looking at this, if this is an Adam and Eve double bottom over here, the bottom over here around, I would say, you can say like, 14,500, whatever. The area over here is around 22,000, right? So I think that roughly speaking, the target would actually be higher than this. The target actually be like maybe closer to like 300,000, and that could end up marking the top of the Hang Seng run. And if that's the case, then a lot of the Chinese stocks might do very, very well for the next year or so. Again, this is not an investment. This is a trade because I don't know if it's going to make an all-time high anytime soon on some index. I just don't know that. All I know that it's built up a lot of momentum. This is a big giant base here, and I think there's probably enough liquidity to push Bitcoin up higher if the Hang Seng Index can do that. So with that said, anything that you're looking at a lower time frame really doesn't matter. With that said, anything that happens on a lower time frame really doesn't matter. Bitcoin is so strong that it's a little bit outside of the Tenkan and Kijun over here on the monthly. And I don't care. I actually don't think it has to come back and back test this. There's a possibility. There's a possibility that this area over here is very similar to this area over here. It's just way about the Tenkan and Kijun. It doesn't care. It just wants to just whenever it is ready to go. Maybe waiting for China. I don't know. But it looks like whenever it's ready to go, it's just going to go boom, 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 boom. If it doesn't want to, it wants to come back and back test things. You want to come back to the Tenkan here? Fine. 80,000. $79,204 $4.01. If it wants to do that, fine. I don't care. That's cool. I will look into OKLO and RCATs, RCATs and OKLO. I'll look into that maybe a little bit towards the end. I just want to talk about Bitcoin and miners to address some of the questions that you guys have. But that's kind of what I think. So whenever it gets ready to go, I don't know when that's going to be, but I really do think that we might turn around sometime in February. I really do think so. Even with today's CPI, blah, 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 I really don't care. I just think this is a pretty decent setup. Total 1 is a good setup. Total 2 is a good setup. These are different cryptocurrency market caps. Total 3, very good setup. I just already talked about all this already when I was talking about Coinbase earlier, so I'm not going to be redundant about it. Let's dive into MSTR here. What's going on in MSTR? Should I be bearish about MSTR? Or is MSTR going to be a better investment compared to everything else, like what everybody else has been saying, because that's been true for the last 2 years? As long as it holds onto the Tenkan right now is around $322.70. As long as it holds onto the monthly Tenkan here, I think it should continue to be extremely bullish. I think this is just a bull flag here. And I think that it's flipped the Tenkan Kijun here from resistance to support, and then right now it's just riding up along with it. I think that it's not done yet. I think it's kind of going to go higher. That's what I think. What does it matter what I think? It doesn't matter what I think. Bollinger Band is a little bit contracty, but I still think this is still a pretty nice bull trend going on. I am not really that worried about it. If you always look at the weekly chart here to kind of show the Gann symmetry Also look at the fit levels here. The key thing is we got rejected here perfectly at 1.61. We've been trying to reclaim this 1.4 and 4 here. We broke down underneath of that, didn't really quite get this gap close over here around 280. And we've just been hovering around the zone over here. This is the lower part of the range as far as I'm concerned. This is the upper part of the range. The ARK and the 1.618, that's the upper part of the range. The lower part of the range is somewhere around the 0.4 and 4 and the horizontal gain line over here, right? Around 300 to around 340. If you break above the 340, then I think it's probably going to end up grabbing up to the top of the range here. Is waiting for Bitcoin. It got overextended to the upside, got a little bit overextended to the downside, and right now it's just stuck in the range. It's waiting for Bitcoin. It's just got back to the bonus support band over here, right? Whereas Bitcoin got pretty close here too, right? If you're also looking at Bitcoin in terms of where we are here at the cycle, I think this area over here is very, very similar to this area over here. I don't know how long it has consolidated. I don't think much longer. I think it's very, very similar between the two. And I think MSTR is probably getting ready. Very similar spot over here as it was over here. Just like how Bitcoin was at a very, very similar spot over here as we were over here, right? So I think MSTR is going to do okay. How high would MSTR go? Anybody's guess? If Bitcoin goes to 200,000, MSTR gets up to like 1,000, 1,300 easy. If Bitcoin goes to 500,000, then maybe MSTR get up to the higher targets over here. I don't know. If the cycle's over, then goodbye. I'm not really seeing the cycle being over again. Like the way that I'm really looking at that is really trying to look at the Tenkin and Kijun. As long as it's holding the Tenkin, the blue line up here, especially the Kijun down here too. As long as it's not resistance like this for like a whole year, I'm fine. I'm still feeling pretty decent about MSTR. I already talked about Coinbase. Let's talk about the miners here. I'm going to talk about CLSK here, CleanSpark here. Rejected here, Ichimoku Cloud here for forever. Also getting rejected here at Subichi Cloud here forever. It's been trying to break about Subichi Cloud here for a very long time. If it breaks in, it's going to go up to the gravity to the top over here around $53. If it ends up doing that, but look at how hard it wants to do that, right? Ichimoku Cloud, it was able to break through $40.50, maybe somewhere around there. And then maybe much higher targets after that if it's able to break through. You know why CleanSpark was so bullish? You know why CleanSpark was so bullish for the entire year? Because there was really not much resistance from like $76 all the way up to the cloud. There was like no resistance here. So when there's no resistance here, it's just going to go straight through, get everybody's sentiment to be extremely bullish, gets up to where it's going to be. And then next thing you know, it's just going to basically get rejected here very, very hard, right? Because you ran very, very hard. And this is a very strong resistance level. What's happening right now? Well, we're getting rejected here like crazy for like a whole year, right? Building up a lot of energy. Doesn't mean that this is it. Doesn't mean that we're just going to plummet from here. Well, I mean, I don't know. I'm showing you global liquidity. I'm showing you Bitcoin. I'm showing you what I think. If you're looking at elite wave, I think this is wave 1. This is wave 2. We're getting ready for wave 3. And if I think MSTR can make some crazy targets, I think that there's a chance that CLSK can outperform MSTR. I'm just spilling crazy here. I don't really care about what you guys think, to be honest. I'm just telling you what I think. Looking at the GAN here, I need to get rid of all that. Hey, Matt, welcome. Getting rid of the GAN here. Look, I'm going to get rid of the volume here as well. Let me take a sip of drink here for a sec. If you just look at the trees and want to miss the forest, it's stuck in a range. It's stuck between 0.618 and the ARK and the GAN ARK over here. You got an angle over here. It's also a little bit of a wild card. It can also be resistance and support. But you're basically just kind of stuck between 0.618 and the ARK over here. Doesn't matter how nice earning was. The catalyst wasn't there yet. It's not pushing through yet, right? Just kind of hovering around here. It's also stuck in a range between the bonus support band and the 100-week moving average. Even the 200-week moving average, which I'm going to turn 200-week moving average a purple color. Even the 200-week moving average had a bullish crossover to 100, right? 50 is kind of crawling up from above. I'm going to get rid of that, just kind of give you a little bit less distraction. You see how it's stuck in the range, it's squeezing, it's squeezy. It's getting a lot of energy that's being built up over here. You know what I think about this area over here? I think it's very similar to this area over here. I see a head and shoulder continuation pattern. I see a head and shoulder continuation pattern. That's what I see. And if CleanSpark does well, if this is really like, if the crazy thing is, if this is an extended cycle, if this is wave 1, and this is the brutal wave 2, and if this is the wave sub 1 of 3, then wave 3 can be very, very powerful, right? I am actually not ruling out, and I am positioned for this. I'm not ruling out that CleanSpark can hit 1.618. I'm not going to be shy about it. I've been shy about it for so long because people think I'm crazy. As I've talked about miners and everybody says, oh, you wreck people. Well, because you buy like these crazy short-term calls on margin. Yeah, it's an extremely volatile stock. Learn your lesson. Don't do that. I'm holding spot. I don't care. I'm comfortable. I sleep well at night and only have maybe I used to have a lot higher percentage in miners, but because Palantir, my miners right now are not very high percentage. I have no more than 8 to 10% of my assets not assets, my biggest portfolio here on stocks in miners. But I can see this happening. I can see 1.272. I can see 1.414. I can see 1.414. And I can see 1.618. I can. That's what this is crazy. I can see these levels getting hit. I guess I'm crazy, right? Is holding the arc here very, very well, right? It broke through how many arcs? Number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it's just backtesting one arc over here for an entire year. It's yeah. Anyway, if that was wave 1, then I guess something pretty crazy might happen. Mara. Yes, happy anniversary to everybody. Thank you for being here. Mara, you finally get to Mara. Sorry, I'm making you wait here. I just want to talk about all the miners all at once. I always like to talk about CleanSpark first, but Mara, what do I think? What do I think about Mara? Straight up, what do I think about Mara? 2-month candle, Ichimoku cloud, a little bit busier, so I'm just gonna make this thick here, right? To show you and illustrate your point here, the bottom of the 2-month Ichimoku cloud is $15.80. $15.80. Right now, it's stuck between the bottom of the cloud over here and the 2-month Tenkan, right? The 2-month Tenkan is $20.63. We've been stuck here in a range for over a year and a half almost. We're getting towards the end of the line here. It could fall out of the cloud, and never mind, then this gets invalidated, so be it. Or it can stay in the cloud and end up just going up along the cloud and go higher. If I turn off the conversion and base here, you can see that this over here was resistance during the top of last cycle. And what has happened during this cycle is we really flipped this from resistance to support, right? That's really all there is to it, right? On the monthly here, you can see that it's broken underneath the Tenkan and Kitchen here. But the reality is, if you look at the Super Ichi, yeah, it did break underneath the Tenkan over here too. But if you look at Super Ichi and Ichimoku, it's just been trying to push inside the cloud here. And so far, you only had maybe 1 or 2 touches over here, right? So I think last cycle was just a lot faster, and this cycle is just a lot slower. I think that this whole inverted head and shoulder pattern over here is very similar to this over here. And this over here seems to be this extension over here for 3 months, and we're just kind of stuck here for an entire year. That's what I think. But don't listen to my, don't take my word for it. because I don't know. I'm just a cat, but I'm positioned for something here. Ultimately, all depends on global liquidity. If my thesis is right, and if global liquidity is going up, then I think we're all going to be okay. If my suspicion is wrong, then never mind. I'm sorry. I guess I'd be very sorry for my portfolio. We just have a breakout and backtest here. So I'm just going to be a little bit patient in terms of what's going to happen next. Last time you had a breakout and backtest, I mean, Mars just kept on dropping. So, yeah, I don't know. Like if you're talking about dilution, actually most of the dilution happened during this parabolic rise. And since then, I think every single quarter they might dilute like 10, 20, percent or something like that. Not bad, actually. Here it dilute, like I think every quarter dilute 80, 90% here the entire time on the way up, right? They're actually not interested in diluting here that much because price hasn't really gone up that high. They did a smart thing, they diluted over here. Anyway, that's what I think about Mara. If you want to tell me to talk about some crazy targets, I can talk about some crazy targets. Get on record so when it doesn't happen, you guys can make clips over how I'm a fool for talking about all these targets here. First of all, it wants to hold the 0.5, by the way. But yeah, it's a hard time getting into the golden pocket here in the 0.618. Once it gets inside, I think it's going to challenge the 0.786 here, which is also the top of the Ichimoku cloud. If you're able to break through the Ichimoku cloud, and I don't know where it's not going to break through it in a hurry like it did over here. If you're able to break through the Ichimoku cloud, then you're talking about some all-time high stuff happening here. I'm not going to say that it's going to get to like $637. I think that's absolutely insane. 200 and 300 is still on the cards if there's an extended cycle. I am just going to shut up now about Mara because that's a lot of people probably can't wrap their head around it, and I could be wrong, right? IREN. If I just take off all the indicator, what is IREN doing? Honestly, it's doing great. What is IREN doing? IREN is looking like it's just himsing. IREN is looking like it is just himsing, right? Where it kind of broke down underneath all this stuff over here, broke back through back test again, right? Broke down underneath a bunch of stuff here, broke through back test, right? And back test again. And it's just getting ready to go higher. This is not a bearish look. You had a bullish crossover here. Like, I don't think the cycle's over or anywhere near over based on what I'm thinking. But I could be wrong. But I think IREN's probably going to end up himsing from here. Was there any specific question about IREN that you wanted to ask, or you just wanted me to kind of take a look at it? Because I just kind of took a look at it. We can go back to the weekly chart. The weekly chart actually looks great, right? Because it's just been going stepwise from Ichimoku cloud to Ichimoku cloud to Ichimoku cloud. It's just been riding Ichimoku cloud up here on the weekly, right? Bouncing off of it almost perfectly. Beautiful, right? Looking at the GAN here, beautiful. What did it do? Got rejected at the arc here, came back down to the angle, bounced, right? Broke through this trend line over here. Looks like it wants to grab right up to the 0.0786 and to the arc. We'll see how it reacts there. Looking pretty decent there now, right? So I think that IREN, if it's able to break above the 0.786, if we're able to break the arc up here, then I think that some of these higher targets are possible. I think it's going to get some pretty strong resistance. Maybe from previous all-time high, it's going to be resistance there too, but you also get some resistance up here at this arc up here around like the 60s and 70s. If it breaks through, then higher targets is to come, but if it doesn't break through, I think that would be the cycle ender. We'll see what it does. Hello. Bitfarms, stuck in a range. It's stuck in a range. It's at the bottom of the range. I'm deranged. Broke through one arc, two arc, got to the third arc, got rejected, came back tested on the arc for the entire year, getting everybody extremely bearish about it. Can you imagine if you bought the IPO and it did the exact same thing where it just kind of plummet for an entire year? Can you imagine you bought like the top over here and it just kind of plummet? It looks kind of the same over here as it does over there, doesn't it? Haha. Haha. Interesting. I don't think I saw too much on balance volume over here. Unfortunately, there's just not a whole lot to say. It's just I'm not seeing any like bullish divergence there. I'm also not really seeing much bullish divergence here on RSI. On the daily, on the weekly, not really seeing too much of it. But I know they're buying. I know they're buying. You know why I know they're buying? I know they're buying. Institutional is buying. I don't have anything else to add. Like February was like a big month for accumulation for a reason. Maybe they're getting ready for something that's going to happen late February or early March. I don't know. I don't know anything. CIFR? Weekly chart. Oh, sorry. Bitfarms. Let's talk about some crazy scenarios here, right? Assuming this is the downtrend that it has, the very, very similar fractal that we're having right here and here. From the previous all-time high over here in December 2020 to the cycle bottom, what is it doing right now? It's holding the 0.382 here perfectly, right? I'm not making this up. It's holding 0.382 here perfectly at the bottom of the arc here, right? If it's getting rejected at the 0.618, come back down to 0.382, it's holding it perfectly, then you might end up going back up here, challenge the arc here again, 0.618 here again. And this time you might end up building a lot of energy over here. Because a lot of energy has already been building up. A lot of stock has traded hands over here. Every single time somebody sells, there's a buyer on the other side. I just showed you who the buyers are, right? So whenever it gets ready, it could actually be quite impulsive and it can go up quite dramatically, right? I think that this cycle has a good chance to recover back to 0.786. I think it has a good chance to cover back to 0.786. And if it gets up to the top of the monthly Ichimoku cloud here, that's where the 0.76 is, right? I think there's a good chance to do that. If it reacts well over there, it has enough energy. If it just breaks multiple fit level like it did over here in like this big giant parabolic run, some higher targets could be met. $24. I mean, it's possible. It's possible, right? That's the reason why I talk about Bitcoin first. That's the reason why I talk about macro first. If things are rotating from large cap to small caps, Bitfarm is a small cap. And if things are entering global liquidity, Bitcoin's going to do well. I don't care. Like you guys can, you know, I'm still going to be like talking these crazy targets here. I try to avoid talking about them for a very long time. Like people ask me, miners suck. Well, yeah, I mean they suck. Don't be in them. They've proven to you that they suck for the entire year. Don't be in them, right? That's the conventional knowledge. That's what is known about miners. So don't be in them. I'm going to be in them, but don't be in them. CIFR, what is it doing? Well, it's trying to hover around this underneath this angle over here. Backtest the arc here perfectly. Bounce, right? Right now, the next level is going to challenge at 0.786. Got rejected here for a few weeks. I think it's going to go back up there again. It's going to challenge it again. Tons of volume that's been happening. Tons of buying volume. Big buying volume over here with this big wick right there. So I cannot be bearish on this. And honestly, like there's nothing to really get too bearish here. Because I think once it breaks about the 0.786, then it's lights out for this stock. Like it really is lights out. Already reclaiming Tenkan-Kishin here. This had the same look as like Palantir before it broke out. Has the same look as HIMS as it before it broke out. Broke inside the immature Ichimoku cloud here, above the Tenkan-Kishin. Trying to eat into a lot of these shorts here. And you see all these wicks over here. I think it's being heavily shorted. But I think it's going to be okay because it's a pretty critical zone. I think shorts are probably going to end up having to cover if price, like, first of all, it's holding Ichimoku here very beautifully here on the weekly, by the way. But I think shorts are going to have to probably get forced to cover if price end up conventionally get broken about the 0.382, so 0.786. Then I think like shorts would be like, oh crap. WULF. Not much else to say. Bounce off of the ARK over here, bounce off of the Ichimoku cloud over here. Not much to say about it. It's just consolidating sideways over here for a little bit. It probably needs to have a little bit more technical repair now that it came all the way back down like that on a straight line compared to like CLSK has already had this repair. Mara's already had this repair, right? Bitfarm is just, it's not really repairing. I think it's going to be a laggard here. CIFR's already repaired. IREN's already repaired. WULF still need to repair. That's what it is. But it's finding some pretty good support here. I think it's just going to do what it's going to do. If it's able to break about 0.786, especially if it's able to break about 0.786, I can see it making all-time. I can see it making like the previous high here at least, and maybe even potentially some all-time high. I can see that. Is it going to be like $124.50? Probably not. But I can see it making like challenging previous all-time high, maybe like 10x from here. And we'll see what happens, right? We'll see what happens. If small cap does well, if Bitcoin does well, I have a hard time seeing WULF not doing well. Just looking at the monthly here too, you just look at Ichimoku. It's breaking down underneath the Tenkan Kijun here a little bit. That's okay. It's still forming a little bit of a higher low here. I think it's probably doing a target up here to the bottom of the Ichimoku here around $12. And we'll see how it's probably going to get rejected there the first time it goes there. We'll see whether or not it has enough energy to kind of push through the top of the cloud here. And that could be the cycle ender, or it could have challenged the previous all-time high, and that could be the cycle ender. That's what I think about WULF. Why do I buy BTBT? Very similar concept. Actually, there's nothing like groundbreaking about what I'm doing. I just think that it broke about this negative trend line here and back testing it. That's a good look. I also think that it had a bullish cross here, and it's been hovering around the Tenkan Kijun here, trying to reclaim that, trying to get to the cloud over here. But it's building a lot of energy while it's doing it. It's being heavily shorted over here. If you are looking at the fib levels, I think it's just stuck between 0.32 and 0.5 here for a very long time. So yeah, I'm adding to it. This is not like a big position of mine. I think this is getting to about the same size as like WULF and IREN and Bitfarms. My CIFR is a little bit bigger, and then my CleanSmart Mara is going to be like the biggest. But yeah, I still think it's hovering around. I think it broke the trend line. I think it back tested it. Yeah, let me show you that again. I think this trend line from here to here, right? It broke the trend line here on very high volume, right? That ought to count for something. It broke this trend line over here. Sorry, broke the trend line over here on high volume. That means that this breakout is real. So I'm going to buy the breakout and back test. That's the reason why I'm doing it. CORZ finding support here at the 2.618 after it got exhausted. It went all the way up here, but had to broke down underneath the bonus support band over here. Kind of like what CleanSpark did, because it was just on this uptrend over here. It just got really tired, right? Bearish and not bearish engulfing, but bearish diversions. Price going up, RSI going down. Got tired, came back down, find support. Where we find support, 2.618. Holding support here very well. Stuck in a range right now. Probably going to stuck here for a while. Even other stuff is doing well. It's showing today. It's not doing anything today. The other stuff seems to have a little bit of recovery. It's not doing anything today. RIOT. What I think RIOT's looking pretty decent. It's just holding the bottom support in here. It's trying to break about this arc here. There's been resistance here for so long now. It's been resistance since like April 2022, right? The arc over here has been resistance since April 2022. Support, resistance, blah, 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 right? Hovering around the zone over here, building a lot of energy. I think it's going to break through. I think it's going to do pretty well moving forward in 2025 because it was a major laggard. I think it's probably going to end up surprising a lot of people. Do I want to get into RIOT? No, not really. But is it doing okay? Yeah, it's holding 0.382 perfectly. I think it's going to be fine. If it's able to bounce, it's going to re-challenge. It's going to challenge the 0.618 here after it broke through the arc over here, which I think it will. And when it gets up to here, that's going to be a challenge. There's also a previous zone over here too where it got rejected. Where you break through 0.786, easy, right? That might be where the cycle ends, but if Bitcoin and small cap does pretty well, it might break through 0.786 and make some all-time high stuff. It's possible. I actually like this chart. I didn't like the chart for a very long time, but I like it now. HUT, you don't need any indicators. Turn off everything. A little bit of inverted head and shoulder pattern, broke out, back testing it. That's all it is, right? If you look at the volume, huge volume breakthrough, and then back testing on a low volume. It's going to go up higher. If you're asking me in terms of like how high, well, if it's able to book about the 0.618, 0.786, which I think it will, then some of the higher targets is achievable. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's not be crazy because those are crazy targets. Finally, BitDR, and I'm done with the miners. And might talk about like Ethereum or something else. Thank you, Daniel. Beaky. Thank you for the anniversary gift. What are some of the targets of CIFR? Let's talk about that. We need to break above the 0.786, which is $7. You knew that $7 was going to be a pretty major resistance level because there's a pretty important flip level here. And on top of that, if you look at the 2-week Ichimoku cloud, you got rejected up here around 786. Like that's a perfect rejection there, by the way, right? So right now, I'm going to go back to the weekly here. Right now, if we're able to break above the 0.786, which is a hard time doing, by the way, so that's why you have to come back and do like all these cup and handle, cup formation, and try and break back above, right? If we're able to break back above, I really think that this cycle could potentially hit like $42 at the 1.272. It could be a little bit lower because 1.272 is like a flip level, but then so is 1.236. So if I say 1.236 is the top of the Gann square here, right? $36.82. That's it for the cycle. Okay, I'll take it. Right? If it goes through higher, you can double to 1.414 here, $71. Could it go crazy and go to $151? I don't know. All right, I don't know. All I know is it went from 38 cents all the way to like $7.8. That's all I know. That's like a 20x, right? Does that mean that it's gonna make another crazy, like, I guess if it was $71, it's 14x. If it's $151, it's like 30x, right? No, but that's like 300. Wait, what is it? I can't even do math right now. If that's 14x, that's 30x. 1430, right? I don't know whether or not there's enough energy to push up there. I think it might, but I'm not going to say like these crazy targets like CIFR has to hit $151. If Bitcoin goes to $500,000, yeah, possible. If IWM goes to 300 and more, yeah, possible, right? But those are just some of the targets that I'm kind of looking at here. So, all right. Finally, one last one here for the miners that I'm going to be done with the miners, do a couple of chart requests there, and then adios. No, thank you. Thank you very much. I thank you. I thank you. So what I'm seeing here is BTDR, BitDR. It's been basically, I'm actually not sure. I'm going to actually tick up the Gann here. I actually don't think they could really give me that much great market symmetry here. It's holding the kitchen here pretty well. So it's holding support. Could it break down further to backtest the previous all-time high here that week? Possible. And that would not be a bearish thing, right? Because it really looked like it had a big volume breakout above the previous all-time high here and a declining volume backtest of the previous all-time high. That's what it looks like, right? Can it go down lower? It can always go down lower, right? It can always go down lower, although it's a moot point, as long as probability still favors that whatever it's going to go is going to be a higher low. Sure, they can go all the way down to the 0.86 and backtest this breakout zone over here. It'll still be bullish. It doesn't have to, though. Sometimes it just ends up coming down short of what people are expecting to be some potential target that could hit, and it just keeps on having some bullish continuation. Because as far as I'm concerned, this is hard to think about in an Elliott wave sense, actually. I actually don't know in terms of which one is. This one looks like 1, 2, 3 sub 1, 3 sub 2, 3 sub 3, 3 sub 4. I don't know. I'm not willing to make a bet in terms of where it goes. But yeah, form of the higher low over here. Higher we go. That's all I got. Let's do some chart requests here. I think we have OKLO. OKLO is a stock that has been asked because it's done extremely well. Reef Cat. Are you a cat? I love reefs too. Actually, I don't know. Yeah. OKLO is looking like it's forming a very beautiful candle over here. It back tested the 3.272 and 3.618 fips over here, right? After it pushed through, got stuck between the 1.618 and the 0.86 here for a very long time. Was able to break through and got up to the next level. It looks like the 3.618 is going to be a very important level for it to hold. And if it doesn't, it might be even between 2.61 and 3.61. I think it's possible. But right now, it's probably one that oscillate between the 3.272 and 3.61 here, kind of oscillate here a little bit. The problem as to why it might come down to the 2.618 eventually, the problem is that the Tenkan, the blue line's all the way down here, around $38. Things are a little bit overextended about that. What happened last time? Things are a little bit overextended about that. Well, a correction happened, right? It went sideways for how many months? And next thing you know, you have about 7 or 8 candles that push up from FIP level to FIP level, from 1.618 got to 3.618. Are you going to end up having some further consolidation here? I think so. Away from the Tenkan, a little bit worrisome. With that said, if this is 1, 2, if this is 3, 3 can keep going for a while. And I'm going to change the FIB here to log scale, and that's going to give you a very different perspective. It's going to give you a very different perspective because what it's doing right now has been hovering underneath the 1.618 here, and it's just hanging out in space, right? Because it's a little bit too far away from the Tenkan. Where's it going to go? If it's able to push about the $66 zone over here, then it might end the cycle. It might end the cycle at a few numbers here. And those are numbers, right? $93, $111, $143. Am I worried about the trend? I'm not worried about the trend because Bollinger Band is expanding to the upside and downside here on a monthly. I also think that it was just a little bit way too far overextended, so it had to come back and touch the upper Bollinger Band here. So probably going to have some bullish continuation after that. And those are the levels I was just kind of telling you about. So that's what I think about the stock. Interesting. Red Cat. I was looking at this before. I think somebody else also requested this, but I'm not bearish on it. I mean, I think that this consolidating sideways over here. A lot of people might look at this kind of like head and shoulder pattern and think this has to go down. I generally don't. I actually think these are pretty decent consolidation pattern. I think that there's good room for it to go up. I'm not really seeing any sign for me to think that this is like bad. You do have a Bollinger Band contraction over here, but price has gone sideways here for so long, right? This is weekly. If you look at the monthly here, you can see a very different picture. You look at the monthly here, this actually, looking at this chart, I don't know what Red Cat does, but it makes me want to buy because you have an Adam and Eve bottom over here. And on the monthly, this big push up has really expanded Bollinger Band a lot. This looks like an Adam and Eve bottom with a breakout and a back test. Breakout on high volume, back test on declining volume. Oh yeah. It looks pretty good. It looks pretty good. The only thing, I don't know if I can draw FIP levels. The only reason why I say that is because, like, I don't know, the price action up here is extremely low volume. I don't think it means anything from up here. let's say the algorithm thinks that means something, right? I can go up there and draw some fit levels. Okay, so the 0.38, 0.236 might be where it's going to gravitate to before further bullish continuation, and because of how well, necessarily not overextended here at all, because of how it broke out above the zone over here, there is a chance for it to go down as low as 6.21, right? But it's not doing that because it's holding a monthly Tenkan Kijun here as support. It could go down and back test the cloud around $6.21. It could do that, but it's holding in Tenkan Kijun as support. Beautiful katana here. Adam and Eve double bottom breakout back test. If it breaks down below the current below like $7-8, $6 we go, and that would still be a bullish strike, right? Ultimately, I think I'm targeting a lot higher based on this pattern here. So I don't know what red cat is, but it looks pretty decent. Grab. We're gonna end the show with GME. Is that what we're doing? I'm okay with that. Grab looks good. Huge volume. Breakout above the zone over here. Back test the Tenkan Kijun. Actually don't know if there is like a good fit level here. Let's see, 0.136. Yeah, pretty decent actually. You got to break out back to the 0.136 fit level, which is right at the Tenkan. This is the look that, like, again, I just show you like Palantir and HIMS and all the other stuff has before further bullish continuation. Consolidated sideways over here for quite some time. Probably wants to gravitate to 0.236 and maybe even the bottom of the Ichimoku cloud up here. After it's done consolidating, it could go down as low as the Kijun, around $4, 4.18 to be precise. And it's still going to be a pretty bullish trend over here, whatever it decides to do here for the low, right? It could even come back all the way down here to like $4 and backtest this horizontal breakout zone over here. Does it have to? No, it doesn't have to, because the Tenkan's right there and the fit level's right there. So higher targets, again, $6, maybe like 6.4 or something like that near the bottom of the immature Ichimoku cloud. Meanwhile, looking through all this, looking at bull in Japan, is starting to expand. This is a bull trend happening right in front of our eyes. This is a good area to accumulate. Understand that you might have some lower and downside risk here, maybe to like $4 or something like that. That's the downside risk. Upside risk, unlimited, really, all the way up to 0.618, 0.786 if you have like a whole year or two to wait. Because I think it's going to get there because of a bunch of expansion, but you're going to have a lot of resistance on the way now. So, wrap. Novavax. I think it's trying to hold a 20-month moving average. I'm not bearish on it. I just wish that it holds it a little bit better. If it breaks down, it can go back to 0.136 here again, around $6.55. That's going to be a pretty decent support. It's stuck in no man's land, no cat's land, because it got resistance up here of the 0.236, got support down here 0.136, oscillating around the 20-month moving average. I'm not having a good read here. It's still underneath the Tenkan Kijun. You had a bullish cross, but it's still underneath both. I don't have a good read here. I think that this is a significant high here because of high volume here. I can't really say this is like a higher high compared to that, because that doesn't really look like a high. It just looks like a downtrend. As long as this is a higher low, as long as we can find higher low, as long as we can break above this high over here eventually, then you got a very, very nice bull trend that's being confirmed. Right now, it's just like, I think this is probably at bottom, because I think this big volume candle over here that push all the way up here, and with the second candle here that touches 0.382 here, I think it means something. I think it's flipping the 20-month moving average from negative sloping to positive sloping here, at least to flat. I think all this means something, and this is probably wave 1, and this is probably wave 2. I don't know how wave 2 is, how low it's going to get, but I think this is a trend from negative to positive. I just don't know how low, and I just don't know exactly when and where. That's all. Gotcha. Energy secretary on board. Drones. That's what they are. Okay. Red Cat are drones? That's badass. I'm going to end the show here with GME. Jimmy. What's GME doing? I was trying to hold it 0.382. That's what I was doing. You know, I was talking about for a lot of our members, I shared a video that I spent 42 minutes yapping on, which is no different from the fact that I already spent like an hour and 46 minutes yapping on here today as well to celebrate my 1 year anniversary. The video that I was talking about was kind of looking at Bollinger Band and trying to extrapolate elite waves from that. And the reality is this. The reality is that you can't really go a lot higher until you have the Bollinger Band expansion. And the Bollinger Band expansion is not going to come until you have some level of volatility. Here you can see how back in May, it went all the way up, pushed through 0.61 here, challenged it twice, not able to break through, even with just a little bit of volume here. After that, it had no volume. This is wave 1 because it flipped the 20-minute moving average from negative sloping to positive sloping. It even came back and back tested it. $18 would have been, $19 would have been like a really, really good area to buy. Right? What is it doing so far? It's forming a little bit of a next wave over here. What is it doing? Well, it's pushing up and it's kind of tapping the upper Bollinger Band here a little bit, like tap, tap. You want to go up higher? Not yet. Okay, let's come back and back test to 0.382. See whether or not we hold. You can go underneath of that, and that's okay too, right? So far is holding. A little bit of a doji. Last month you had a bearish engulfing candle, but on low volume. I didn't think it was going to be that scary. You did have a tweezer top over here with a bearish engulfing candle, so I thought this one's going to be down here a little bit. It's down here a little bit, forming a little bit of a doji here at an important FIB level. It's building up some energy. I think GME is going to be okay. So that's kind of what I think about these charts. I think this is very, very similar to what we were looking at earlier with NVAX, where this is wave 1, this is wave 2, and we're getting wave 3 kind of gearing here in order. And wave 3 is going to be the most powerful one of them all. And I think wave 3 is going to end up, all it takes is just a little bit of volume. All it takes is just a little bit of volume, and it can pump up a lot higher. It wants to pump up because it just challenges 0.618 and 0.76. Just like that. Just with some volume. Just like that. I'm waiting for volume to come. I'm going to keep buying GME. It's as simple as that. Like everything else, like everything else, it doesn't matter. You're going to have some pretty strong resistance levels up here above, because that's where the Ichimoku cloud here is the monthly. Sometimes it just takes a lot of liquidity, just kind of push through it, and it just goes sky high just like that. But here, it didn't really end up doing that. Here, it just kind of ended up like just hovering around the zone over here. So, and once it breaks through, it might take some time to break through the cloud. It might take a few months to break through the cloud. If it decides to do that, it still has the Tengen Kijun over here. It has resistance, right? Over here, we just kind of need a little bit of volume, just push right through, right? But we didn't really have like a beautiful like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's just like a big giant 6 months exhaustion done, right? Here, we're building up a little bit of structure here. So let's see what the structure tells us. So far, the structure is still looking okay. So I'm going to talk a little bit about altcoins since you guys are still here. I'm talk about Ethereum. Let me take some water first. Let's spend another 10 minutes, 15 minutes talking about altcoins, and I'm done. Ethereum. What is it doing? It's just stuck in a golden pocket between 0.86 and 0.618. Again, if you listen to the video that I did with Charting Guy, I think both of us are still pretty bullish on Ethereum. He has a more conservative target. I have more crazier targets. I'm just crazy in general. I still think that the current cycle is no different than the last cycle, except that it's more bullish here. I think here we're stuck at much lower FIB levels. Here we're stuck at much higher FIB levels. Here we're just basically back testing the 1.618 level over here after it got rejected at the 3.618. came all the way back down to the 0.618 here, push through, back testing 1.618. I think it's gearing up for some pretty powerful move. I'm delusional though, right? So don't listen to me. 20 moving average curling up. I think it's going to end up being support by the end of the month, even though it's breaking down here. Very beautiful structure, right? If you have to do Elliott waves, it's going to be tough. I think this wick over here, the low is 2118. The wick over here is 2112. If I have to, this is wave 1. This is wave 2 over here. Well, I guess wave 2 can also potentially be horizontal too, but assuming this is wave 2, this is sub 1 of 3, sub 2 of 3, and a 3 can be pretty strong, pretty powerful. Or this whole thing right here is wave 2, and it's just like a little bit of a sideways, like a flat kind of thing, and then it's just kind of go up a lot higher. Regardless, this is building up into something more powerful, and a lot of other things are telling me the same thing. Holding the Ichimoku, back testing Tenkan and Kitchen. The Kitchen right here is being back tested here again. Super Ichi is telling me the same thing. I'm not bearish on Ethereum. I think that right now, last cycle, it was using a VWAP here, volume weighted average price here as significant resistance. And then once you broke through, it's just sky's the limit after that. Right here, this time we broke through here relatively early. We've just been back testing a lot more often. Resistance flip support, not a bearish thing. I think it's going to end up just having some further bullish continuation after that. So, the other thing too, when it comes to Ethereum, this is a monthly chart I have again here. I think that this is I stretch it a little bit too far. I guess I don't really have a whole lot of angle to look at, but this 750 and 500. Looking at it, it looks like the arcs here are serving as pretty decent support and resistance. I think we've just been hovering underneath the arc here for a very long time. Here, last time we didn't really hover for that long. Once we push through, we went to the next arc. Here, if we push through, we go to the next arc. How high is the next arc? 30 to 40,000, somewhere around there. It could always stop short. There's nothing in life's guaranteed. You can always stop short. But yeah, Bitcoin dominance is very, very much exhausted. What happened with Bitcoin dominance when it comes to global liquidity? I talked a lot about this with Charting Guy. I also posted this here too with on X. Whenever you have Bitcoin dominance dropping, that's usually associated with global liquidity just pushing up a lot higher, right? Like here. Wherever you have Bitcoin dominance dropping, you have global liquidity just kind of push up a lot higher, right? And because we're going sideways over here, like we did over here, like we did over here, usually when it goes sideways with global liquidity, Bitcoin dominance rises. Sideways with global liquidity, Bitcoin dominance rises, right? If we have global liquidity breakout back test and it's going to go a lot higher, then I think Bitcoin dominance is going to drop. Then I think altcoin season is going to start. I think we're getting there. I really think we're getting there. When exactly, I don't know. Another thing to look at it, this is like a very exhaustive top. Look at RSI. See what RSI is telling you. RSI is telling you, yeah, on the monthly here, you got dominance going up, RSI going down. First time you're seeing really key, bearish divergence here. So when's the last time you saw bearish divergence? Actually, you didn't really have one here to really like tell you. Here I see bearish divergence. I think Bitcoin dominance is getting close to dropping. So that's going to be good for the rest of the crypto. XRP, what I think about XRP, I think it broke above the 0.86, is backtesting 0.86 here, along with, again, horizontal line here. It's also doing a very, very beautiful thing here, which is backtesting the Tenkan and Kitchen over here, the blue and red over here. It's gearing up for some bullish continuation. How long is it going to go sideways? I don't know. Anybody's guess. I think it's going to go up a lot higher. It can consolidate here for quite some time, though. Dogecoin was happening. I think it's doing a little bit of a different move here compared to the last slide. Last guy is just burned up way too far, way too fast, right? This cycle, what is it doing? Well, it kind of trying to push through the monthly Ichimoku cloud here. Not able to do that quite just yet. Come back to the bottom of the cloud, holding. And right now, we've just kind of been hovering around, trying to reclaim technical vision over here inside the cloud. That's what it's doing. But meanwhile, the entire time it's forming a higher low. What do I think about elite waves? Well, I don't think about elite waves that much, but if I have to, I think this is 1, 2. Sorry, this is wave 1 sub 1, right? This whole thing right here, it's hard for me to say. It's hard for me to say. Regardless, I think this is 1. This is 2. I think this is wave 3, and this is sub wave 1 of wave 3. I think it's going to go a lot higher. If I turn off the Ichimoku, go to the weekly here, and go to my GAN, it did break down underneath my GAN angle over here, and my GAN arc over here, which is unfortunate. But I still think that this area over here is still very similar to this area over here. Because it's rejection here at the angle, hovering around, try to find some support before pushing up higher. I'm going to draw some fit levels here to kind of double check a few things here. First of all, if you do a linear, it got rejected here at the 0.618 and it come back to 0.236 here perfectly, right? It's holding. If you do a log scale, I think it had a deviation above the 0.786. And right now we have a deviation below the 0.618. This is the golden pocket. And if it's able to hold the golden pocket here, I think things are going to look, pretty decent moving forward. I want to see this week closing above 26 cents, 0.46. I want to see it closing above 26.46 cents. Last cycle, the golden pocket was also tested here. You did have a little bit of deviation above that, about 0.786. It held 0.661 here perfectly. Again, I think the cycle is just slower. I think that things just correct for longer and correct for a little bit more exaggerated. But there's a big wick over there. This is not bearish. If I look at Ichimoku, on the weekly, it's way above that. On 2 week is underneath the Tengen Kitchen. I really like to see it kind of reclaiming it. It's showing some short-term weakness here, but I love the wick, right? I love the wick. And on the monthly, there's still really nothing to really get that scared about because it held the bottom of the cloud here perfectly. So that's why I think about Doge, and I still think that the higher targets that I was originally thinking about would still apply. What I mean by higher targets, last time it went to the 2.272 and it got rejected there, right? And then this time, if you do a fit level from here to the cycle bottom, it was able to reclaim the 0.786 and make some all-time high. I think $4 is possible. I think that $24 is a little bit of a long shot. But I think it's either maybe like $4 here or maybe the arc up here around like 5, 6, 7. Maybe even this horizontal here around like 10. That's a pretty big market cap, but I think $4 is probably achievable this cycle. It's not at the support level, so what the heck are you talking about, right? Well, it's forming higher highs and higher lows. Who cares? Higher high, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, right? Who cares? It's still a bull trend until it's not. Could you say that this cycle is very similar to like the top here? Like this is the top, it's going to go down a lot lower. I don't think so. I just don't think that's where global liquidity is at right now. I just don't think that the cycle is over. Just looking at a lot of different things I'm looking at. Shiba's doing really well. Tons of people are bitter about Shiba. I think Shiba's doing extremely well because it just kind of held my angle here perfectly after backtesting ARK and the horizontal here, held it perfectly. And it's also holding the 100-week moving average here almost perfectly, right? Is even holding of the 200 here. The 200-week is there too. It's holding it. They're both positive slipping. Resistance, kind of. Support. Very, very similar theme here, right? This looks just like Mara. This looks just like CleanSpark. Very, very similar theme. A lot of things are running very, very similarly. Chainlink's not looking bad either. I think it did end up breaking underneath my my gain angle and my gain arc here, but it's just a deviation like we had over here probably, right? Beyond that, I think it's been holding market symmetry here very well with this gain arc, right? So we'll see how this gets resolved. We'll see whether or not we're able to push back inside and claim this resistance zone here back in the support. But I just think this is a little bit of deviation here. That's all. ADA looking pretty decent. It bounced right off of the weekly Ichimoku. And at the arc here, it looks like it wants to have some further bullish continuation. It's actually showing a little bit of outperformance here. So I like it. I have Chainlink, I have ADA. JASMY, a little bit underperforming. Initially, I was hoping the angle over here would hold. Initially, I was hoping the Ichimoku cloud here would hold. But sometimes it might just be a little bit of deviation. I think it's finding some pretty decent support over here. Basically, it's just a breakout of this horizontal zone and back testing it. On like a further outlook, I think this whole thing right here is a wave. Well, this whole thing right here is a wave 1. And maybe this is a wave 2. I don't know. Some people might say, oh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, this is it. That's the end of the cycle. I don't think so. I think this whole thing right here might be 1. This whole thing right here maybe 2. We'll see. Regardless, higher highs, higher lows. And I'm still holding it. I'm not buying it anymore because I bought down here. I'm not buying it anymore. I'm just going to let it do its thing, right? What else do you guys want to look at? I think there's a pretty good list here. Solana, I'll look at Solana, and then I'll probably end the show. And I'll talk a little bit about, LTBR's associated OKLO running hard today. Interesting. I might look at that in a little bit here. Solana. If you ask me whether or not Solana's going to outperform for the rest of the cycle, I don't know, because a lot of outperformance has already happened. I still think that if Bitcoin goes to like some crazy like 500,000 or something like that, then some of the higher targets here could still be met. It could still go like 5 or 10x. I think it's entirely possible for Solana, but I think that the outperformance cycle is probably maybe done. I don't know. Holding 0.86 here perfectly. I think all of this is just inside candles of this big giant, weekly candle over here. I think it's going to have some bullish continuation, and it's going to surprise a lot of people when it happens. The entire time is still trying to challenge the bullish support band. There's really nothing terrible about this chart besides that it's just been doing nothing and frustrating a lot of people. That's all. It's been frustrating a lot of people for like the entire year. Good. That's what CIFR is doing. That's what CIFR is doing. But I think it's probably going to have some further bullish continuation, and it's going to end up, I'm not sure it's going to outperform other stuff because it already did, right? But the setup is not bearish. So, man, I'm getting tired. 股神貓哥係冇問題啦，我係咁啦，謝謝你的工作，沒問題，我也可以說普通話，說得還行。That's pretty much all the language that I speak, though. Is that it? Yeah, that does it. Now I'll take a quick look at LTBR here since you brought it up. Whew! Lightbridge. I did take a look at that the other day. Yeah, beautiful volume here. What did I say about Lightbridge? I thought it was a bullish chart here on the monthly. It's expanding a bullish band, and I thought that it was going to end up getting rejected here at this horizontal zone. We're back at the horizontal zone. I'm just going to let it be. I'm going to let it be like BB. And if it ends up surprising me to the upside, then it ends up surprising me to the upside. It ends up break the resistance zone and just keeps going higher to the sky, then so be it. The month is still young. I think the resistance are still going to be resistance. I'm going to be more cautious here, but I'm going to be very, very happy if I'm wrong, if all the BP holders go to the moon. Anyway, guys, it's been fun. It's been very, very fun. And it's been a fun year. So I just want to thank you all for the support. I still don't know what this thing is yet. like what I'm doing, why I'm doing what I'm doing. I have no idea what any of this means, but I'm gonna keep doing it because it's fun. And I hope you guys enjoy a wonderful rest of the week. And I hope you guys didn't panic sell CPI. And things are still looking okay. I rant on and on for Tesla and I mean I rant on and on about Tesla for a very long time. I made this chart here today on X just to be a naughty cat. It's going to 60, guys. It's going to 60. Let me go ahead and erase all that. Ugh. Okay. If you want to hear about my Tesla thoughts, we went on and on for like 40 minutes on Triumphant stream yesterday. So check it out. We're not making any absolute statements here, but I think that Tesla is going to be fine. Even though Tesla looked like it might be bouncing here, it could still go down lower to like 300 or even to the high 290s, and I would still be extremely bullish. I bought over here. I bought the 350s. Bought a few shares. Bought more shares down here around 330s. If it goes down to like 290s or 300, I'm going to buy more. If it doesn't, well, had my chance. So be it. Guys, take care. Have a good one. Bye.